It's tofu time. Okay, so the first thing we're gonna do, I think people skip this step a lot. When you're gonna do a plant-based meal, tofu gets such a bad rap, but if you treat your tofu like you would treat a meat, it takes on a whole other life. So the first thing we wanna do is marinate our tofu, because today we are making garlic miso butter tofu, and you will not regret watching this recipe. Okay, so the first thing we're gonna do is marinate our tofu, which is a step that a lot of people tend to skip. So our beautiful already cubed tofu that's been pressed and cubed, I like to do little bite-sized pieces so they kind of crisp really well on each side. We're gonna just add it to our Ziploc bag so it can absorb all that flavor. Gonna dump this in here. You wanna be kind of gentle with your tofu because it's delicate for sure. And then we're gonna just douse it in some coconut aminos, which is similar to soy sauce, but less sodium. So you wanna kinda just coat everything. And then the other secret ingredient is rice wine vinegar. And for me, the garlic roasted is what gives it the most kind of punch at the end. So just give it a little douse of that. And it doesn't need to marinate very long. I'd say no longer than a half an hour to an hour. But we can zip that baby up, lay it flat, and let these guys sit for about 20, 30 minutes. We're gonna use grapeseed oil as opposed to olive oil because it's got a higher smoke point. Olive oil can actually be toxic if you cook it too high, so grapeseed oil is a great alternative. So we're just going to lay our tofu down in an even layer. And again, you wanna definitely be gentle. We're using extra firm tofu, so it'll hold up pretty stably, but you don't wanna be too rough with your tofu. And we're cooking at about medium high to almost high heat, because I like my tofu to have a little bit of crisp on the outside. Okay, so now it is sauce time, which is the most delectable sauce you are going to make all the time. You can cover anything you really want in this. It's actually a cod-based recipe, but you can put it over tofu. I do shrimp, I do it over chicken thighs. It is totally versatile. So we'll start off with the base, which is a butter. And this is where you can go one way or the other. You can either take the traditional route and use a regular butter, an actual real butter, which gives it a little more of a robust flavor, or you can absolutely make it with a vegan butter that is just as delicious. So we're gonna add our butter, easy, and you wanna let that soften for about 30 minutes first so everything can really kind of congeal together. We're gonna add our miso, and I'm making a lot. I usually cook for at least 2 or 3 people, so I'm gonna do an entire package of butter, 1 whole half package of miso. Then we're gonna do the pièce de la résistance, the garlic. And I cheat, I buy my garlic already crushed into a paste because I spent too many years waking up in the middle of the night and feeling like I smell garlic and realizing it's my fingernails. So now I just use regular already crushed garlic paste. We're gonna throw in our garlic, a little bit of brown sugar. It's about 1/4 cup of brown sugar. You wanna use about 1/4 teaspoon of cayenne powder. You can add a little bit more if you like it spicy. And then the sake, 1/4 cup of sake. And now you wanna really get all of your ingredients to meet each other. So I like to give it a nice little mix before we put it into the pan. And by the way, you can always use a little bit more sake. I could actually use some today, I'm not gonna lie. Now we're just gonna add our sauce to our pan. You wanna let everything come together and cook up. Let that garlic and that sake all find each other because they are truly a match made in heaven. You wanna keep it moving. It only takes about 5 minutes before this is done, just so everything can kind of really cook up and flavors can come together. And trust me, your party will be asking for more sauce, so always make a little bit extra of this one. The smell is everything. So it would not be a fit farmer meal if there was not a green component. So we're gonna use green beans today because they hold up really well on our sauce. Snapping green beans always makes me think of being a kid in my mom's kitchen. It was just me and my mom, and we would always make meals, and I was in charge of snapping the green beans. So this is a tedious task, but I'm grateful that my mom made me do it all those years because now I'm really good at it. This looks perfect. Now it's time for sauce. You wanna just cover your veggies and your tofu, and then reserve some for dressing the dish at the end. I wish you could smell this. You can really pair this with any starch that you want. Today we're using white rice because it really absorbs the flavor of the garlic butter. Even a non-vegan would love this. So good.